All right, so today we're going to talk about food chains and food webs. This is important in all ecosystems. You have a food chain and a food web, and they act together. So a food chain is like a singular way that the energy travels from one organism to another, but a food web is like how multiple food chains act together. So we're going to take a few notes and then draw a food chain and a food web, and then you're going to have a couple videos to watch about food chains, and then you will have a exit ticket on food chains. All right, so let's go on and start. So food chains and webs. Okay. So first of all, we need to say that, and these are vocabulary terms that you have heard before, consumers can be, all right, so they can be herbivores, and this is something that only eats plants. So like deer, they are herbivores. They only eat plants. It always takes me a minute to think about herbivores. They only eat plants. Deer, horse, cows, groundhogs, and elephants. Let's go on and list those. Let's begin to different color pen. So examples are deer, horse, cows, groundhogs. All right, and an elephant. And some things are herbivores, or not herbivores, but omnivores and carnivores that you wouldn't think would be. Like I would think a chicken would be a herbivore, but they're actually omnivores. So like all birds are. And I think for me, I forget about birds eating worms. But anywho, okay, the next is omnivores. And so this doesn't mean that, so like a vegetarian, although they are eating plants, and a herbivore, but that's not how you can, a vegetarian, these are talking about the way your systems are set up. So a herbivore's digestive system is set up to only be able to digest plants. Okay. Their internal digestive system is set up to digest plants. But an omnivore, however, is set up to digest plants and animals, right? So these are eats plants and animals, or other animals. So we are considered omnivores. Our system is set up to eat both, all things, plants and animals. So examples would be us, bears, dogs, birds, hamsters sometimes can be omnivores, although they usually are a plant-based diet. I did hear that they will eat eggs. But I've not fed my hamster eggs. I don't know if I said that in a video, but we bought Evelyn a hamster. Her name is Hermione, but I call her Hermie. And we only feed her, of course, like apples. It's the only thing that I've ever given her that's not like hamster, quote, food. But anyway, she's real cute. All right, so carnivores are meat only. Right, so their system is just set up for meat. And examples of this would be alligators, tigers, lions, Snakes, hawks. I'm pretty sure hawks. I'll have to look that one up though. Hawks, I believe, are considered carnivores. Okay, so those are just the different types of consumers. All right, so a food chain, and that comes into play when we're talking about a food chain. So a food chain shows one way that the sun's energy flows to different animals. And of course, it'll be different depending on the ecosystem. So a forest food chain is going to be different than an ocean food chain. Okay, are y'all ready for this? Great. Well, you know what? Yeah, we'll do that. So I'm going to draw a food chain. I mean, be prepared to be wowed because you know I am the best drawer. I mean, sometimes I just think, oh, Miss Connor, you're so talented. You have many talents. Drawing is just, it's one of my best. Not. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you don't draw well, as long as you know, do the best you can. So I'm going to have the sun, and that's where the start of the food chain or food web is. So the sun creates the energy that a plant needs, like grass needs to have its food to conduct photosynthesis. So I'm going to draw an arrow, okay? And the arrow is going to point from the sun, the grass, I guess I should do grass, to maybe a grasshopper. All right, y'all. Oh. I mean, that's not terrible. Okay, so this is a grasshopper. Okay. And its energy is going to transfer, it's going to go to a bluebird. Oh my gosh. All right, that's a bird. Okay. And its energy is going to be transferred to maybe a hawk. So like a bigger bird. And then when the hawk dies, its energy is going to be transferred to a decomposer. So like a mushroom. Okay, so it decomposes a hawk after it dies, and then it, that nutrients from the decomposer will go to the grass, and it just sort of starts all over. Now, the one thing I really want you to pay attention to is that the arrows point to the flow of energy. It doesn't flow to what eats what, right? So like the bird does not, or the grasshopper does not eat the bird. The bird does not eat the hawk. It shows that the sun's energy goes from the grasshopper to the bird to the hawk to the decomposer. And of course, food chains can be bigger than this. I just did one that was a little bit smaller, so it could fit on a page. But this is very important to remember that the arrows point to the flow of energy, okay? All right, let's talk about a food web. So a food web is So a food web is, where did my notes go? Shows how several food chains are connected. But again, you're looking at the arrows and the flow of energy, okay? Now this is great, so get ready for this. How beautiful my drawings are. So I'm going to start like here. Okay, there's my sun. Okay, and we've got our grass again. And then our grasshopper. So I'm just going to put grasshopper. Okay, grasshopper. Now that grasshopper, he can be eaten by maybe a frog. Oh my gosh. Ugh. That does not look like a frog. Okay, so he can maybe get eaten by a frog or, again, get eaten by a bird. I'm not sure what that was, but... Okay, so it can it can get eaten by either. All right. So at the same time, maybe over here, there's a beautiful flower that is getting munched on by a butterfly. Okay. That the frog is eating. Okay. So the frog can eat different things. It can eat the grasshopper or it can eat the butterfly. But then also the butterfly can be eaten by a dragonfly. That's probably the most thing I've drawn that looks like what it's supposed to. Then the butterfly can be eaten by the dragonfly. Okay. And maybe it's getting eaten by a bird. But I should have drawn that down there. Oh, you know what? Let's do that. Let me draw that like that. Hold up. Let me draw the dragonfly down here. I need new of these. Okay. So maybe down here, there we go. That makes more sense. We'll have the dragonfly. Okay. And its flow of energy is going to the bird. Okay. Maybe there's also a little rat. And he's eating the grasshopper. But maybe there's like a wolf. And the wolf is eating the bird and the rat. Okay. maybe the frog is getting eaten by a snake. So anyway, that's as far as we'll go. Because you can go on and on. Um, a a food chain and a food web are very similar, but a food chain shows how all the different webs go together. Okay, so that's like a little web of eating right there. All right, make sure that you have that down, and then you will have some questions to answer about food chains and food webs. Tomorrow we will talk about animals' jobs in the ecosystem. Bye.